Alrighty, it's Monday. Let's see what day it is. It is February 6th. It is 9 o'clock, 9:18, or 21 hours and 18 minutes. And the long day that was Saturday and Sunday and run into Monday is over. And that's why Comments X is coming now. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday was one long day. There was no sleep on Saturday and Sunday. I went to do my Byzantine Greek around 8 o'clock in the morning. That lasted until around 11:30, 12 o'clock. And then from there, I went to the Greek baptism. And that ended around, well, I was home by 7, no, it was I think it was 7, 8 o'clock it was home at, by. Anyways, it was a long day. So, I didn't end up getting my day started today till just around 7 o'clock. Went to my parents for dinner, and I've come back now, did the systems check, and now it's time for Comments X. Interesting day yesterday, in terms of Sunday. Went to the baptism. I knew just about everybody at the table. We're all friends. We know each other, but it's still kind of different when you're a geek. You always feel that you're on the outside of things, and yesterday was no exception. And it's just sort of like, you get the feeling that I'm a lab rat, and it was nice to be out with people on the weekend just to sort of see people, because more often than not I'm just sort of in here by myself. There isn't, like Northern, I don't have other people living with me. It's just me and me. So I keep myself company with me, myself, and I. That is the crowd here. Now, so that means most of my conversations either occur in the reading format, where you're reading and you imagine what's going on. And if you have a good enough imagination, you can go right inside the book and really sort of see the scenery and whatever they're talking about. And this becomes your world for most of the week until you go out and see somebody. When you're in that type of situation where it's either reading or writing like that, and now doing my videos is more of the same thing, because doing the videos is going to accompany my writing. It's the new form I'm using for writing papers. When you go out and you're sitting in a conversation with people, it's hard to pull yourself away from your usual daily routine of being introverted, if you want to call it that, and all of a sudden to go and be an extrovert. So most of the time I just sort of sat there and smiled, and when I got the occasional wave hello, you wave hello back, and that's about it. But most people, I don't know if they really sort of understand what's going on, or why I am the way I am. But I think they sort of, it's, they're sort of happy to see me there, but they're sort of wondering, he's not saying anything. He hasn't said anything all night long. Why is he saying, And I'll just sort of get this sort of smile on my face and listening to everybody talk, and just occasionally I'll say a few comments here and a few comments there, but never really part of any of the conversations. But that's a large chunk of it is that when the conversation is going on in my head, and I'm forgetting to say things at the right time, or I think of the conversation later on, or something pops in my mind that I could have said, but it's too late. The conversation's already over. They've sort of switched topics. But a lot of times it's sort of they're on topics that either one that I'm not too familiar with, like I'm not a sports person and I really can't say too much about sports in terms of the way a sports fan would talk about it. I mean, I can go and talk about the physics of sports, but I don't think that would go over too well, you know. Every time you seem to get into an explanation of science, people start looking at me like I'm Sheldon Cooper, you know. So I get the same looks, you know. What? What about the sphere? You know, so after a few comments like that, you learn if you want to be around people that your conversations will have to be sort of muted in terms of what you actually say. And if you're the type of person who is rather opinionated and really you don't have a censor button in terms of what you say and when you're giving your opinion, then when a conversation occurs that may have controversial subjects in it, you learn to sort of watch your tongue and not say anything at all, just sort of smile and nod and go along with the conversation rather than get jumping in and correcting everybody. Particularly when somebody's saying, you know, when you realize that when somebody's saying something that might not actually be factual or what you consider to be factual. So these are the social graces that I have sort of come to. And this was even at the point where, you know, during the dinner, I was deep into sleep deprivation. So that was also a lot of fun. Sleep deprivation is always well enjoyable because that's when your dreams start to seep into your awake state, and it makes things extra fuzzy and weird. So having the presence of mind to stay sociable or within the bounds of social graces becomes a bit of a challenge when you're sleep deprived. But it was accomplished yesterday. It was a rather decent meal. It was some of the comments around the table were that the steak that we had was cooked more to the likings of the older village people that were there, the village Greeks, who like most of all of their meats well done. So you can imagine what a well done steak would be like in terms of its dryness. And most of the people at the table who are younger are more of the younger generation who grew up in the city. They didn't have the sort of the issues with cooked meat because of basically if you're butchering your meat and you don't have refrigeration, you better have your meats well done, or else you can risk getting sick and dying. So, and that's sort of the mentality of the older village Greeks. The more younger, hip, modern Greeks grew up with refrigeration, and their food comes from the food store and not from the fields. And so you can have a properly done steak which is medium rare, rather than having it well done. Or, you know, if you like it even on the rare side of that, you could even have it, you know, rare just on the border of medium. You know, some people I like that. You know, if it's a good thick enough steak, you know, you make it rare just on the border of medium. But that's not what happened last night. But it doesn't matter anyways, because the whole purpose of last night was to get together with family, and we all sort of consider each other family anyways. I address, well, I don't really address it, but I consider the older village people, the older generation, to be my aunts and uncles. I always call them Theo and Thea, that's Greek for aunt and uncle, or actually uncle and aunt. Theo is uncle, and Thea is Greek for aunt or aunt. If you're more of the Bostonian way, if you're on the Bostonian side of English, it's aunt. If you're the Canadian side of English, it's aunt. So you can take your pick, whichever one you want. So that's sort of the situation that I have with when I go up to these events, that they are functionally extended family events, and you have to sort of really not only have to do your best to sort of everybody has their own particular place in their circle, and I think I sort of fit into my place rather well. That since I don't have the swagger and style, particularly the Greek swagger and style, that my position as more of a quiet person is actually the better position, because I'm not stealing anybody's thunder. And that's always a concern, where if you have a Greek of a personality, particularly the younger Greeks who have the personality that they have swagger, they have style, and they actually do have swagger and style, and you attempt to do anything that could even be remotely construed as stealing their thunder, then issues arrive, and they, become more competitive. So, but I'm not of that mind. I'm not of that personality. So, for me, it's primarily smiles, nods, and hellos, and that's the sort of extent of things. As for the different TV shows that we watch, as I said in the my Saturday and Sunday bit to the Right and Proper Ladies, rather than being interested in Batman, The Flash, and other comic book heroes, as per other geeks, or into even Dungeons and Dragons, and other forms of role-playing games, my role-playing games seem to be along the lines of something that I've created on my own, where rather than being limited to a single server, I roam the internet and play different characters. Then I also like all the kids' TV shows. That's what I typically watch. And I can't sit there and ooh and ah over adult TV shows, because, again, this is where the sort of the caution comes in, because these shows often show things that aren't scientifically correct, but are assumed to be scientific. When they're discussed, the temptation is to go, you have your Sheldon Cooper moment, but that Sheldon, if you want to keep having friends and sort of hang out with people, these Sheldon Cooper moments have to be sort of muted. And while I can do them on here, on YouTube and on the channel, I really can't do them out in public amongst family. So my option is, again, the smiles, nods, and hellos. So that leads for an interesting day, and then it also, because of the exhaustion and the sleep deprivation, when you do finally get to bed, the dreams are equally as bizarre. And last night, well, most of the dreams were half decent, and on the rather interesting side of things, they were more, and saying on the interesting side of things, I had epic dreams last night. And epic means basically they were laid out and written like a novel, where actually they were narrated. And it was like you were sitting watching an epic, or watching a narrated epic, or reading a book. That was the whole perspective of the dream, actually. And the nightmarish parts, I would call them the disturbing parts of the dreams, where the consciousness of my geekiness began to chase me. In other words, as I was, it was going back to the old days of trying to be cool and having style, and every time I did that, something went horribly wrong, and the situation, rather than being cool, ended up being more of an embarrassment than being cool. So that's so in terms of the nightmares of the geek chasing you, is that sort of your geekiness chases you no matter how you try to be cool, no matter how much style you try to pretend you have. Somehow your geekiness always comes in and destroys everything you've done, and you will wind up being more of a geek than before you had even attempted to make this cool and stylish gesture in terms of trying to change your image and who you are. So that's sort of the nature of the nightmares. And this is what I was saying before when I did the section on the dreams for the Writing Properly as a Saturday and Sunday prior to this. It was about the dreams, and this is how geekiness actually chases you, at least in my case anyways, is your attempt to be cool, your attempt to be suave, fails, and the geek slowly emerges and comes back again. So that's sort of the extent of the experience of these sort of dreams, and that was sort of what was going on last night, but not to that extent that, you know, I think once you get used to them, you sort of know what they are. That while there's an issue there, it's like, I had another one of those dreams again, and it's only for a short period of time. Things lead into it, so, and it's not always that you're a geek the whole entire time, but it winds up that you end up seeing stuff like that. So, anyways, I'm gonna cut this, end this right here. I will try to talk to you more during the day in terms of what I'll be doing this week. You'll see that in a variety of other comments. And I want to see what Ellie, Beth, and Sonia actually put out for this week for their theme for the week. Anyways, I'll see you in a little bit.